Most people don't try enough, so they stick to what they know, and sticking to what they know gets them nowhere. Welcome back to Daily Reps with your host Brendan. Today we're going to talk about episode 6, where we talk throwing darts until something sticks, or just trying until something works. Now, I want to just make this very clear that most people just get a career, leave school, get a career, and they don't do anything else in terms of life to make them feel successful the rest of their life. Or most, I'm talking very generic, okay? I'm not talking about everyone, but most people just do the same thing because it makes them feel good. It's an ego boost. And all they need to do is turn up and do the thing that they're good at, because that's what they are, that's who they are. This is why this podcast is... This podcast isn't trial and error. This podcast is me. This podcast is... I'm kind of derailing this, but I want to prove a point. I've been a person that has tried a lot of different things. I've done a lot with my life. I said this to somebody the other day, one of my close friends. I said, I feel like I've lived 10 lifetimes with the amount of stuff in my life that I have done already, and I'm only into my 30s, early 30s. And his response was what I expected, and it was, yeah, most people are just fueling their ego by doing the same thing, the same career, the same life for the rest of their life. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if you enjoy your job and career and stuff. But if you're one of these people that just sit in your little career box thinking, my life's going to get better, and you want more from life, then this podcast is definitely for you. Now, I don't just mean in a financial sense or in a business sense, but it's just a really analogy to use. But maybe it's working with your kids, maybe it's being better for your partner, maybe it's just being better in business or better at relationships or better at communication. It doesn't matter. But what I mean by you just got to try something until something sticks, you need to try more, you need to do more, you need to try more. And so let's take a business example. You want to increase your revenue, you want to get more customers, you want to become a bit more known in your space, you want to be the go-to person in your niche, in your business, in your town, in your city. What are you trying now? What have you tried? What's working? What isn't working? So let's say, for example, you've put a couple of posts out on Facebook, but they're not really getting anywhere. Well, how many did you do? Did you do enough? Did you try enough, or did you just post 3 times and forget about it because it's too much effort and it's not a waste of time and money? Did you try Facebook ads? Did you try different ad creatives? Did you try different copy, different headlines, different text, different fonts, different colours? Keep trying, keep tweaking until something sticks and works, and scale off of that. All of these people that have successful adverts that are running for a long time, for example, ones that have run for a year or more, convert because they've tweaked 10, 20, 30, 100 different ad types and creatives, maybe more. And I'm talking, you might have the same image, the same text, the same everything, and you just change a couple of words in the header. That's a different ad. That's a different thing. So you might have 10 of those, and you might have 10 with different images, and you might have 10 with, you know what I mean? So it really stacks up. And this is just an advert, meta ad example of it, but it applies in everything in life. Maybe you haven't found a sport or an activity. I tried a lot of sports when I was young. I tried football, I tried rugby, I tried athletics, I'm sure, squash, badminton. I really enjoyed badminton, I didn't mind playing football, I was never massively into it. And then I found parkour when I was in my teens, and I absolutely loved it because it had the freedom and expression, and there was no set rules and so on. I just really enjoyed that. And I met some really good friends off the back of it. And but I wouldn't have found that unless I tried other things that I didn't like first. And it's the same in business. You've got to keep trying new things until you find something that sticks. You might be trying to make more money in your business or in your life or whatever it is, and maybe you started flipping things to try and make a bit of money, or just hustling. And I tried it for a bit, and I've hustled and sold a lot of stuff, and it's hard. But when you find something that works, it gets a bit more consistent. That's what I'm trying to say. You might find that flipping all this little, whatever it is. Anyway, you get the point. You've got to do the reps to be able to benefit, to be able to to be consistent enough to find what works. And you've got to keep tweaking it and testing it and tweaking it and testing it. And that's just business, that's just life. You've got to keep trying and you've got to keep going. So again, you won't know what works until you start moving and you start testing and trying. And consistency of doing that reveals patterns that work, and then you double down on that and do even more of it. So for instance, one of my clients that I work with, he was struggling to take in bookings. We tried an email retargeting campaign and bang, I think he increased his bookings that following month by 60%, by 60%, 60, and his revenue went up the same. He not far off doubled his revenue that month. It was crazy actually, and that worked. So we did another one, and it worked again. And then we were employing referral campaigns. And again, I mentioned some of this in another podcast, but you keep stacking on what works and keep making sure you hammer that every single time with consistency, and it just compounds and works and compounds and works and compounds and works. And then you can try different things, and you find the system that makes that work. So the patterns, the consistency reveals patterns, and the patterns are your winners. So you just keep doubling down on that. Next, and I think that pretty much closes this episode. Day 7. Don't compare your start to someone else's chapter 15. I like that one. That's going to be fun. But the closing rep today, throw something out there today. Don't care if it's a social media post. Don't care if it's an advert for your business. Don't care if it's a new way of communicating with your wife to stop you arguing so much. Whatever it is, throw something out there. Test it. Think about how it worked or it didn't work. Try and improve it next time, and keep building on that and keep the momentum going and keep doing it daily. All right, guys. See you in the next episode. If you did enjoy it, obviously like, subscribe, and share it with someone you think might find this valuable too. And thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next one tomorrow.